I installed a mini split heat pump on my truck camper here. Let's compare a RV roof air to heat pump and see how long we can run it. Doug Zoy again, and as promised, my next video is comparing the Senville mini split to the roof air, and I go over a lot of data through the video, so it gets kind of long, but it's well worth watching it. I'll go over some of the data and the conclusions, so let's get started. Hope you enjoy it. Alright, battery is fully charged. The inverter is on, you can see by the red light, and standby power drawn. Idle power is 2.1213 amps. Okay, battery voltage is 27.24. So I just finished charging. I noticed all the cells are pretty well balanced. So current temp in here is 80 degrees. So you can see my project here. I got cut for biscuits. I got a convection microwave going in here. So she's a mess in here. But we're going to crank it all the way up to cool and high. Oh, wrong direction. And there's high cool. Okay. She's noisy. So we're drawing about 41 amps. Okay. Current time is 1:30 in the afternoon. This has been sitting out for about half an hour. It's around 80 degrees outside. Humidity's kind of high. It's probably, dew point's probably 60 to 65. It's a little sticky, but not that 70 yet. But good enough for this test. So we're going to run it here for half an hour. You can see it's drawing, 40 some amps there at 27 volts. So you do the math on the watts. So, anyway, I'll be back in about half an hour. Here we are a couple minutes later, and as you can see, we're drawing 55 amps. That's at 26 volts. So we're getting a little sag there off the battery. Let's see what my cell voltages are. That looks good. It's saying 60 amps, but this shot is more accurate. So, yeah, you're looking at 56 amps. So, that's some pretty good power there we're drawing. Like I said, I'm going to run this for half an hour. I ran it last year, 4.5 hours out the wall, but I had the panels on, so, I wasn't drawing entirely off the battery. I was getting some solar with it. So, I don't know. We'll see where we're at, in 15 minutes and then a half hour or so. All right. So we're here at 15 minutes, and you can see it's drawing pretty well close to 60 amps. I'm still holding at that 26.1 or 26 volts. Percent-wise, we're down about 6% according to the shunt, 8% according to BMS. I'd believe the 6%. But temp has dropped to 79. But big difference in the humidity. I can feel it in here. So I'm going to go outside and I'll show some of my mountain here on my mini split. So if you're ever out and you see a camper with a mini split on that side and a big box here, you'll know it's me. Now my inverter's in that box, and I need to get that door open because it's going to get warm in there. But you look at my mount here. I made it on a pivot. So when I redid the shower here, I located all the girts on the inside of the wall, and so that way I was able to fasten in there. The other part of the mount here is off the jack. Okay. I don't know if you can see it pretty good or not, but that's why I ran it. This license plate light's got to get moved one more time. We have the bikes on here, covers it up. I just tied everything up nice and neat. So if you notice, I have Rector Seal lines here, and there's a reason for that. It's pretty good for clearance here to the door when you come up here, but I put a latch on here. Of course, I have a friend that works at a place that builds latches and he designs them, so that helps. But I made it. I got a rod here to lock it in place over here, so I can have it swung out if we're going to be in a spot for a few days or something, or I need to go up the ladder to get up top for something. I can swing it out of the way, you know. Now, if you're going to use these lines, these RectorSeal hoses, you got to make sure you get the end fastened down here tight. I had to make a bracket and then fasten it in here, because when you turn it, it'll swing it, it'll want to twist. The only way you can get around the twist is you'd have to have a long enough one to make a big loop, and I still think it would probably want to twist. So other than that, I should use some cable glands here. I ran cell cable here for the power cord down. The other cable, of course, is the one that comes with the mini split. So that's what we got there. Now, if you look closely here on the front side, you'll notice there's a brace here. Okay, the purpose of that brace is, and then I took the top off and bolted it through there. The purpose of that brace is they only spot welded here on the bottom, and the concern was with it bouncing down the road, it would probably bust the spot welds off. So with that on there, it ain't going anywhere. So basically I just used square tubing, you know, and got it so I can get my nuts on the back side here. It's probably getting close to another 15 minutes, so I suppose I better get on in there and get her checked out. So it's half an hour later since I started. As you can see, the amp hours are at 249.2, and we started at 279.9. So basically 30 amp hours in half an hour. Sound right? Still drawing about 57 amps. Battery voltage is right at 26. The EMS says it's 87% battery, and then also says 60 amps discharge, but it jumps around, so I wouldn't believe that thing. But yeah, humidity's down. Like I said, temp is 78, so I'm gonna shut it off here, and then I got to open the windows and everything, let it warm back up in here, and the battery charge back up full, and we'll start it again. So just to recap, at 248.2 amp hours. Okay. So we're at 279.6 amp hours. I got it all charged up. I was doing a little balancing here, but it's close enough. So right there, battery voltage is at 26.95 and 99.9%. So, all right. So I do have the 24 volt to 12 volt converter going, so that's what that draw is. Let's flip on the inverter, and I'll show you. It's 88 degrees here, so she's a little toasty here now. So, okay, now here's how I mounted the unit up here. It's up in front. It was the only spot I had that was really long enough. I had to screw a board to the wall, find the girts and screw a board to the wall, and that's how I ran that. You can tell I got everything out of all the closet and everything, because I needed to access the electrical, and I still need to do it when I get done taking the roof air off. So that's why you're seeing all that piled up there. But let's get things turned on here. So I got the remote. I don't remember how to turn it on. Here we go. And I got it set 62. I think I need to turn on mode here. I got it. So, all right, I think she's starting to ramp up. We're at 10 amps at the moment. Slowly climbing as it kicks in. Notice the difference in the noise level. That's the first thing. So we'll see what she peaks out at. Oh. So we're at 279 amp hours and 26.68 volts. It started it here, and for some reason it blew the 15 amp breaker, and the breaker's junk. So says at 98% there. Inside temp is a balmy 89 degrees. So I guess we'll see what happens here. I've got it set here on cool. And if you can see it or not, but it's set cool and 62 degrees, so it still hasn't kicked the outside unit in, so I guess we'll wait and see. Okay, I heard the outside unit kick in and the inside unit's getting ready, but I did a little hard reset after that. I don't know what the deal was there. That breaker must have been junk, so there was no reason for it to blow, because at the time it was only drawing about 12 amps on 24 volts. So, you know, you're only looking at 480 watts. And I'd run it in the shop before, both on heat and cool. So I don't know what happened there. But anyway, that breaker's junk. I tried resetting it and it won't go. So here's where we're at. And like I say, we're at 279 amp hours and 34 amps. Volts is 26.3231. So like I said, it's a balmy 89 degrees in here, so we'll see how things go. Be back in 15. We're at the 15-minute mark here, and you can see it's drawing about 44 amps. The most I seen it draw there was in the first 5 minutes was like 45 amps. And we have 267 amp hours left. Our voltage is 26.14, so we're using about a third less on the amps. Okay. Temp in here has dropped already to 84, and that was from 89, so we've dropped 5 degrees in 15 minutes. So I don't know if you can hear it, but it's pretty quiet in here. You can hear the outside unit running. She's got the fan running full bore out there. So it's 15 minutes later, and we're on 37.5 amps here. Battery voltage is 26.19, so we're still at above 90%. I can hear the fan start to slow down on the condensing unit outside, and I have the inside fan here set at full speed, but I know if I turn it to auto, it's going to start dropping down. Where it gets interesting is, so before I said we were using, you know, a third less. Well, that wasn't right. That was 25% less electricity there in the first 15 minutes, and now we're probably using 35% less. So 35 to 40 actually, because once we hit 30 amps, we'll be at 50% less electricity. So interesting. It's nice and cool in here. I'm at 80 degrees, and there is no humidity hardly at all. So I'm going to turn the fan in here down to auto, and it'll slow down some more. And I'm actually, I think I'm going to turn the temp to 72 and just see what we get here. So bear with me. So we're at 72 right now. I think I just heard the compressor just possibly kick out, because we're only drawing 3.3 amps right now. Now, granted, up there in the bunk, you know, I don't have good circulation in my plan long term here is to put a ceiling mounted 12-volt fan up there to push the air around inside here to keep it more even. But really, even here in the middle of the camper, it's very comfortable. So yeah, she's drawing about nothing. So maybe I'll turn her back down a little bit. I'll turn her down to 68. So, you know, this thing is pretty amazing to drop that many degrees. Granted, the Delta T is a lot higher inside, but then again, also it's going to be a lot narrower outside and it's a lot warmer outside. So, considering, you know, we started out, and I know when I was in the house it was 91. So, you know, we've gained 10 degrees in that amount of time. So, I'm probably going to let this run here for another hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I'll be back. So I'll see you then. Well, it's another 15 minutes later, and as you can see, we're drawing 25 amps, about 650 watts off this 24-volt battery. It's at 89.1%, and my battery voltage is 26.29 due to the reduced load. So interesting side note is I've dropped now to 78 degrees. So I have the remote set at 68 and the fan is on auto. So I'm going to be gone for at least an hour, hour and a half. So I'll film again when I get back. Well, it's about 2.5 hours since my last segment. As you can see, it's drawn about 11 amps. Amp hours left is 213.2. We're at 76.2%. And battery voltage is 26.39 due to the low draw, no voltage sake. So BMS says about 74%. So, you know, it's somewhere around there. 25%. It's been running... let's see, almost 3 hours. So total, because it was 2.5. I did the first segment was half hour, and then now 2.5 hours. I had turned it down to 68, shown here, and fan on auto, and it's holding her right at 70. So it's pretty nice in here. It has cooled off outside though, so you know. It's probably 75 right now. I did see that earlier today the dew point was a high of 73. So yeah, it got a little sticky earlier today. Yeah, I'm pretty happy here. So you know, we've been running for 3.5 hours, and we're at only used 25% of the battery. I know when we were at the wall last year by the Badlands, in a cool off like this towards evening, but I ran it there for 4.5 hours and I used 53% of my battery capacity. Battery is lithium cells. They were 279 amp hour, and this is a 24 volt system. So I just wanted to show you here what the height is here. I'm standing that it's mounted on the truck, so you know this is the height here. So I ain't got to worry about banging my head on there or anything like that. Now, some of you may have noticed that I use tape. That's basically Gorilla Tape here on the lines. I didn't use a cover set, and the reason why is I currently am even just right on top of the truck bed where it comes out underneath. So that's the reason why I didn't use a cover. I could have probably exited out the side and used a cover set, but I didn't really want that sitting there exposed like that, so that's why I mounted it that way. Now, as far as the maximum draw I ever saw on the roof here was 1,477 watts, and that's with the 57 watts base load taken off for the inverter and my 24 to 12 volt converter. So, like I said, at the wall I ran it 4.5 hours, and basically that come to 32.67 amp hours per hour, and it'd probably give me a runtime theoretically of 7.7 hours, but realistically it'd probably be 6 hours because you've got other base loads that are running. You have some conversion loss. So The mini split, the biggest draw was in the first 15 minutes, and that was 1100 watts. Basically, it comes out to about 36.3% less usage at the half-hour mark. That's what we were drawing less. And I had dropped a total of 9 degrees in half an hour and a total of 11 degrees in 45 minutes, which I thought was pretty good. At the 45-minute thing there, I had set the temp at 68 at the half-hour mark and just let the fan run on auto. And so then it was only drawing, 603 watts, and that's pretty amazing. So after the 3 hours, I was only drawing about 290 watts, and the temp had dropped to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but then again it dropped outside also. But if you're out in the desert or something, during the day, it can get quite warm, and then in the evening you probably won't need the air. Here in Iowa, in the summertime it gets hot and humid. You might run it there in the evening and then through the night so you can sleep, So that was part of the reason I did this video. I kind of wanted to document how long I could run and what I'd have for battery capacity in the morning. My biggest challenge would be here is getting the battery recharged the next day. I may just take off the 2 Tilton panels I have on here and add 1 large panel or 2 larger panels, and that'll get me from 600 to 800 watts. I do have the ability to charge off the truck, and I'll show that in another video. But basically, I could run probably about 12.3 hours theoretically. And it might even be a little better than that, running off the mini split. Just depends, if you set the temp a little higher and don't run it on high, just run it on auto. So, theoretically, I figured I could probably get 10 hours, Basically, that comes out to about a 60% increase in the runtime. So that's pretty good. I pretty well always figured I'd never be able to run all night long with the roof air on here. And, if you're going to plug in, if you're always staying at campgrounds and you're going to plug in, it probably don't make any difference. Some of you guys like running a generator, but then you'll get in certain areas you can't run a generator after certain hours. So, this is an option for you. I highly recommend looking into it, at least at the minimum. It's a little more involved on the install, but, I think it's well worth the effort. So I'll next show you here what I did on the side, and I'll finish up this video. So in case any of you are wondering, I did get my microwave installed. I got this cabinet done, and right here, that's my table. I made it so I could store my table up in there. I did run this microwave, and it draws between 1600 and 1700 watts, so she's a little power hungry, but you only run it for a few minutes a lot of times, and you can turn the power level down. So and the roof air is gone. A new fan is in its place. I sold the roof air unit already for about half what the mini split cost me. I figured that was a pretty fair trade. So if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I have some new content coming. My inverters arrived from SRNE. They're 10 kilowatt inverters each, and that'll give me 20,000 watts of power and a pretty high surge. So it'll be a while before I get them up and going, but I got other things to do. I am not able to get my array done yet. It keeps raining, so until it dries up, that ain't gonna happen. So in the meantime, catch some rays. I'll see you later. Bye.